We are fresh off Lakers Media Day, and one of the biggest takeaways I got is just how happy the Laker players are with the change in coaching staffs. Not only are they happy with JJ Redick, but maybe even more ironic and more funny, how happy they are that Darvin Ham is no longer the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, and a lot of players had a lot to say, a lot of shots to take at their former head coach. Welcome to Lakers Digest. My name is Hunter Pitcoff, where we cover everything surrounding your Los Angeles Lakers. Training camp starts tomorrow, guys. First of the month, the rent's due, the NBA's due, and we're due for some more NBA Lakers content here. So subscribe to the channel if you have not already. In fact, it might even be the beginning of training camp by the time you're watching this, because it is late Monday night here, last day of September as we're recording. So today's topic of the video will be Lakers throw coach under the bus, and they are ready for a fresh start. And no other than leading the charge for the anti-Darvin Ham train is, unshockingly enough, good old friend D'Angelo Russell. So he said a lot, guys. And I mean a lot. He aired out all of his dirty laundry at today's Lakers Media Day. He had a lot to get off his chest. And he said, one of the quotes was, his kind of words mean a lot to me because I'm not used to hearing those. And that's what D'Angelo Russell said about JJ Redick. And the DLo-Darvin Ham beef is still alive out here, guys, clearly. And that game against Milwaukee, because now Darvin Ham is back on the back on the coaching, back on the bench for the Milwaukee Bucks as an assistant coach for Doc Rivers. He was an assistant coach for Mike Budenholzer when the Bucks won a championship back in 2021. So those games are going to get a little more juicy now between D'Angelo Russell and Darvin Ham, even though, of course, it's a little bit different. But D'Angelo Russell has not been very kind of Darvin Ham, and Darvin Ham has said some things about D'Angelo Russell. So the only thing, though, that's even more interesting about this, and like I said, D'Angelo Russell had more to say on this topic. Something else he said was that the Lakers have been kind of, quote, winging it since his return to the organization, and he mentioned more structure being around this summer. Dan Wilkie said this. He covers the Lakers for the LA Times. D'Angelo Russell also was just saying how, he didn't really feel like he was part of a real family here. Things have been different since he came back to LA, and he thinks that the faith is restored. JJ Redick also said that during his pre-training camp press conference, preseason press conference with him and Rob Pelinka, JJ Redick also said that he's spoken the most with D'Angelo Russell out of all the players on the team. So it already seems like he has much better communication with this current coaching staff, being D'Angelo Russell, than JJ Redick did. So the next point I do want to bring up here is it's not just D'Angelo Russell. More players were sending shots Darvin Ham's way. So you can't even just point to D'Lo and be like, oh, D'Angelo Russell's the problem, because more guys also had something to say about Darvin Ham. One of those guys being Max Christie. He was someone who kind of fell out of the rotation compared to veterans like Taurean Prince, Spencer Dinwiddie, Cam Reddish even, who's still on the team. And this summer, the Lakers paid Max Christie a 4-year, $32 million deal. JJ Redick, Rob Pelinka, they're going to put the money where their mouth is, and Max Christie is almost certainly going to get more playing time, more opportunities. Max said JJ has done a really good job to start. He's done a really good job explaining our offensive and defensive identity, which, as you guys know as Laker fans, that is something that didn't really seem like the Lakers are ever on the same page with Darvin Ham, and something I've been actually giving the praise to JJ Redick. We'll see if it actually translates onto the basketball court. Is JJ has a much more clear vision of how each player on the Lakers can get better, as well as how they can get used offensively and defensively, and really has a plan in place to improve the team with the current roster they have. We already know that Rob Pelinka said that it's going to be at least 30 games until he decides to make a move with this current roster construction, and there's really not a whole lot of moving pieces we have to the equation right now. Also, some other players that had stuff to say. Austin Reaves was one of them. He said that quote, that he's getting familiar with the schemes and all the new stuff the coaching staff is asking. It's been a great summer. It's been a lot of fun being around those guys and learning and having a good understanding of what they want going into this year. So Austin Reaves also someone on board. That might have been as a direct shot, but we've heard Austin say stuff in the past, or even like his brother saying stuff in the past, how he believes that his offense is going to be completely unlocked. And we've done plenty of videos on Austin too, guys, so definitely check those out and how JJ Redick could potentially unlock a lot in Austin Reaves' game here. Also want to talk about here as well, Cam Reddish wanted to hop in on the fun here of bashing Darvin Ham. He said, I'm not one to compare, but he's comparing. It's been really detail-oriented so far. So these are all things that didn't really seem like were in place when Darvin Ham was the head coach of the Lakers. Detail-oriented, guys understanding their roles, guys buying in. It seems like the vibes are much higher this year than maybe they were last year, although last year they did come off a Western Conference Finals appearance. Maybe they were a little bit higher, but it does seem like the Lakers have more of a clear vision and direction, and more specifically, JJ Redick has more of a clear vision and direction of how he sees this team. So that does going to lead into my next point here, guys. Can JJ Redick solve these problems? So we're hearing all the talk right now about how Darvin Ham sucks. Darvin Ham is the reason this team was held back. This is the reason why they got their behinds kicked by the Denver Nuggets 2 years in a row in the playoffs. And there is, I am a fair, objective reporter here, if you will, for Lakers Digest. So I'm going to say the pros and the cons. I know you guys love rushing to the comments sometimes and don't like to hear out arguments, but I know a lot of you guys don't like Darvin Ham. But to be fair, in 2 seasons here, they did go to the Western Conference Finals. They did win the in-season tournament. They started off 2-10 back in 2022 and made the playoffs. They had a really rough stretch where they were one of the worst offensive teams in the NBA, and the Lakers were really struggling at the beginning of the 2024 calendar year, and then they ended up being one of the best offensive teams also toward the end of the season. So Darvin, it wasn't all bad. We've seen worse. We saw Luke Walton, guys. We saw Byron Scott. We've seen the Dark Age Laker days, the post-Kobe Bryant days. We've seen some pretty awful Laker basketball. Darvin Ham was far from awful and bad, but I also don't think he was a great coach either, and it did seem like at times that they really didn't know what they were doing out there, and there was no clear sort of direction with the team. JJ Redick has talked about what he wants. He wants players to shoot more threes. He wants guys like wings like Rui Hachimura and Max Christie to crash the glass more. He wants guys like Cam Reddish and Max Christie and Gabe Vincent to be pests on defense. You have guys like Dalton Connect talking about how his plan was to get in the weight room and get stronger. Austin Reaves, get in the weight room, get stronger, be more physical. Cam Reddish reportedly added 5 to 10 pounds, so he's going to be a little bit bigger. Excuse me, guys. And, JJ Redick wants Anthony Davis to be an MVP kind of guy. He understands that last year it seemed like he was becoming more and more the franchise player, and he wants to build off that. He wants Anthony Davis to be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, which, by the way, guys, Anthony Davis not having a Defensive Player of the Year at this point in his career is absolutely pitiful by the NBA. I mean, he's been one of the best defensive players of all time, but I rest my case there. But looking at the Los Angeles Lakers, the big thing, right, is they are very happy Darvin Ham is gone. But can JJ Redick actually fix these problems? I definitely think he has a good understanding of what the problems were, and he is going to be a first-year head coach. So, guys, similar to Darvin Ham, right? It's not like Frank Vogel, who was a head coach with the Indiana Pacers, head coach with the Orlando Magic. He coached plenty of years in the NBA, so it was a much more smoother transition. We do need to see some patience from JJ Redick, and I know it's going to be very tough because the Lakers have gotten off to horrible starts the last 2 years under Darvin Ham. And so Laker fans want to see the Lakers get off to a hot start. So JJ Redick's already kind of under that pressure. He's coaching LeBron Anthony Davis in Los Angeles for a very hungry, high-demanding fan base. So all the odds are stacked against JJ Redick right now to succeed. So Laker fans, guys, we need to be a little bit patient with him, right? Let's be fair. Let's be impartial. But let's be a little bit patient with JJ Redick, too, because it's going to take him a little bit probably to figure this all out, being a first-year head coach. But at the bare minimum, at least he's saying the right stuff. So let me know in the comments, guys. Do you agree with the players bashing Darvin Ham? Do you think that he was a reason that held this team back? Do you think JJ Redick can solve the issues that the last man in his position had? Or do you ultimately think that maybe the players aren't taking enough accountability for their own play and that ultimately, hey, maybe Darvin Ham wasn't the problem? I guess time will only tell, but I love the conversation we have, guys. And like I said, training camp starts first of the month, October 1st. We're going to be putting out plenty of content about training camp, plenty of content about the preseason, all the way leading up to the Lakers' first regular season game against the Minnesota Timberwolves later this month, and their first preseason game this upcoming Friday, ironically also against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So guys, please subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And as always, thank you for listening to Lakers Digest.